All right, let's talk fat loss. But forget everything you think you know. We're going to go way beyond calories in, calories out. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden biological machinery, your metabolism, your hormones, that really dictates whether you build a leaner, stronger physique or just spin your wheels. So here's the game plan. We're going to build this from the ground up, starting with the big picture of how your body actually uses energy. Then we'll dive into the awesome afterburn effect, find the keys that literally unlock your fat cells, get into the hormones that run the whole show, and finally wrap it all up into a protocol you can actually use. Okay, so first up, where does the energy you burn actually go? Most people think it's all about what happens in the gym, but that's just a tiny, tiny piece of the whole puzzle. Let's really break down the energy outside of the equation. The truth might surprise you. I know what you're thinking, especially if you live in the gym like I do. No way. How can my workout be the smallest part of my calorie burn? It sounds completely backwards, right? But the science is crystal clear on this. Your training session is just one piece of a much bigger and honestly, a much more important metabolic puzzle. Think about your body like a high-performance engine that's always on. Your TDE, that's total daily energy expenditure, is the total fuel that engine burns over a full 24 hours. And it's not just the fuel you burn when you're flooring it at the gym. It's also all the fuel you burn just to keep the engine idling. That's the number that really matters.
Now, check this out. This is where it gets really eye-opening. Look at that huge 70% chunk. That's your basal metabolic rate, BMR. That's just the energy it takes to keep you alive. Then you've got NEAT and TEF. And way down at the bottom, that little 5% sliver, that's your planned workout. That's it. This is exactly why we have to focus on optimizing the other 95%.
Okay, so imagine your digestive system is like a factory. When you eat, you're delivering raw materials. Well, that factory has to use energy to process everything, right? And some materials are just way harder to process than others. That's the thermic effect of food, and it's a seriously powerful tool for cranking up your metabolism. And this right here, this is why protein is your absolute secret weapon for fat loss. Your body literally torches up to 30% of the calories from protein just breaking it down. That's a metabolic boost you get for free just by choosing the right foods. So we've established that your workout is just a small slice of the pie. But what if I told you there's a way to make that small slice have a massive impact on your metabolism for hours and hours after you've left the gym? This, my friends, is the magic of the afterburn effect. The ultimate showdown. A long, slow jog versus high-intensity interval training. Look, you might burn more calories during that long, boring run, but HIIT, that's like lighting a metabolic bonfire that keeps roaring for hours after you're done. It is a total game changer. This metabolic afterburner has a name, EPOC, or excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. The best way to think about it is like this. When you do a really intense workout, you take out an oxygen loan from your body. After the workout, your body has to work extra hard to pay that loan back. And all that work burns a ton of extra calories. Now, EPOC isn't just some quick flash in the pan. It happens in two phases. You've got the fast phase, which is kind of like a quick tune-up. But then you have the slow phase. That's where the real magic happens. This is a long, slow burn that can go on for hours, and the key that unlocks it is pure intensity. Okay, so 50 calories. I know, that might not sound like a huge deal by itself, but let's do the math. If you train with real intensity 4 or 5 times a week, that adds up to an extra 1,000 calories burned a month. That's like getting 2 or 3 extra workouts in, all from the afterburn effect alone. It adds up. And it's not just HIIT that creates this afterburn. Let me tell you, heavy lifting is a metabolic furnace. The sheer stress you put on your muscles during a tough lifting session forces your body to work overtime for hours just to repair and rebuild. It literally turns you into a 24/7 calorie-burning machine. So we've cranked up your metabolism with EPOC. Your body is screaming for energy. But how does it actually get that energy out of your stubborn fat stores? Well, for that answer, we've got to take a trip right inside the fat cell itself. All right, I want you to meet the gatekeeper of your fat cells. It's an enzyme called hormone-sensitive lipase, or HSL. See, your stored body fat is kind of like a prisoner trapped inside your fat cells. It can't get out on its own. HSL is the key that unlocks the prison door, setting that fat free so it can finally be burned for fuel. So how do we get our hands on that key? It all starts with intensity. When you train hard, your body unleashes a flood of adrenaline. Think of adrenaline as a messenger that rushes to the fat cell and delivers the key. Once that key is delivered, it kicks off a chain reaction that unlocks the door and lets the fat out. This is why a nice leisurely stroll just isn't going to cut it. You need intensity. Now this is one of the most critical things you need to understand for fat loss. The hormones from intense exercise, they slam the go button on fat release. But there's also a big red stop button, and its name is insulin. When you eat, especially carbs, insulin goes up, and one of its main jobs is to powerfully inhibit HSL, effectively locking the gate on your fat cells.
Okay, we've seen how hormones can unlock fat at the cellular level, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. Now let's zoom out and look at the master conductors of your entire metabolic orchestra, the hormones that are constantly telling your body whether to burn fat or store it. Imagine your body has a fuel gauge, just like in your car. Well, that fuel gauge is a hormone called leptin. When your tank is full, leptin signals to your brain, hey, we're good to go, burn that fuel. But when your tank starts running low, leptin sends out a panic signal that says, emergency, conserve fuel. Leptin also has a partner in crime, a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is kind of like the little devil on your shoulder, screaming, eat, 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 while leptin is the angel on your other shoulder whispering, you know what, you're full, you can stop. When these two are in balance, everything's great. When they're not, it's a disaster. Now, this right here is exactly why aggressive long-term dieting almost always backfires. When you diet too hard for too long, your body fat drops and leptin plummets. Your brain doesn't see this as successful dieting. It sees it as starvation. So it hits the emergency brakes. It slows your metabolism, it stops muscle building, and it jacks up your stress hormone cortisol. Okay, we have dived deep into the science. But what's the point of all this knowledge if you don't put it to use, right? So now let's take everything we've learned and build a practical, powerful, science-backed protocol that you can start using today. Pillar number 1. Train for the afterburn. Your goal is to create a metabolic earthquake that sends shockwaves through your system for hours. That means less time plodding on the treadmill and more time lifting heavy things and sprinting like you mean it. Pillar number 2. Eat to burn. You want to turn every single meal into a mini workout for your metabolism, and you do that by loading up on protein. Not only does it burn a ton of calories during digestion, it's also the building block for the very muscle that's going to turn you into a fat-burning machine. And pillar number 3, become a master of your hormones. Your body is a finely tuned machine, and your hormones are the control panel. So tame your stress, get your sleep, and just move your body more. When you take control of your hormones, you take control of everything. So there you have it. That's the science-backed blueprint for a leaner, stronger physique. But before we wrap this up, let's do one final rep and lock in those key takeaways so you can put this stuff into action right away. Just remember these 4 rules. 1. Your workout is just the spark. The real fire is the other 95% of your day. 2. Intensity is your superpower. Use it to unleash the afterburn. 3. Hormones are your allies. Learn to speak their language. And 4. Protein is your greatest weapon. Use it to build muscle and boost your metabolism. You now have the knowledge to become the architect of your own body. The only question left is, what are you going to build? Remember, science is always evolving. To make sure you don't miss the next scientific analysis and protocol, don't forget to turn on notifications and subscribe. See you in the other videos. Let's meet in the comments. Let me know what topic we should talk about in the next one.